Welcome to the BeDadly podcast, where we discuss all things dadly, from being an entrepreneur while caring for toddlers to raising screenagers and talking the birds and the bees. We're here to help you traverse the vast and dynamic landscape of fatherhood. Enjoy practical advice, lots of puns, and even a few heart-touching moments.
And the dad jokes are pretty good too.
And now your host, Brandon Jones.
Let me just tell you guys, I'm Brandon Jones, your host for the BeDadly podcast. A little bit different today, but hey, we're back at it again. I'm with Dauss Miller, the photographer here. He's a published international award-winning commercial, fashion, and lifestyle photographer. He is a father, timepiece collector, drummer, a diehard artist and creative, and a self-proclaimed nerd and ice cream addict. I think you said reformed ice cream addict.
Reformed, yes. I try not to dive too deep.
We're going to have to get what your favorite ice cream is here in a second. So you can find out more if you want to check them out at DaussMiller.com. That's DAUSS Miller, spelled traditionally, MILLER.com. You'll also find some stunning images, very refined work, which I've already complimented you on before. We're going to try to not make this the same thing that we just did because we want to keep it fresh for you guys. But Dauss, thank you for being here once again.
Yes, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
What's your favorite ice cream?
My favorite ice cream? I still maintain Haagen-Dazs coffee.
Okay.
Probably still my favorite.
See, you're a refined palate. You have a refined palate. I love it. As I've asked you before, but of course the listeners have not heard because I failed to hit the record button.
All good.
Paint us a picture of your family. Describe them for us and help us kind of get into your world.
All right. So I'm a blended family of 5. I've got a 23-year-old who just moved from Indiana to Austin and is living with us now. A 12-year-old who's visiting for the summer from Indiana. I have a bonus 9-year-old son via my wife, and we have a 2.5-year-old together, and our brand new baby girl is 6 weeks.
Congratulations.
So, thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we kind of touched on this, but I'd love for you to talk about some of the complexities that come with a blended family. What are some of the challenges that you guys have faced and the opportunities, obviously?
Yeah, lots of challenges, a lot of big personalities that get to, blend together. It's the greatest thing for me to witness is how everyone's, separate energetic, experiences and volumes of personality get to come in and blend together and make a family. So, like I said, there's a lot of challenges that have come along with that, with personalities and with, I feel like there's a word that I'd like to use, but in the moment, respect is what has to come out. Being respected as a dad in the household when you're a blended family can be, a really, really big challenge that it moves a lot,
Now, when you say it moves, is it that boundary of knowing when you should step in as dad and when to step back?
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like has to be removed from the table at times.
Wow.
It's like, an eruption is happening and the tendency would be to swoop in and discipline or control the situation somehow. And what I've learned more than anything, and in those moments, it's the best thing I can do is step out and allow space and time, and then come back in when it's appropriate, when things are settled a bit, and I can be heard, and we can have an actual exchange and less emotional exchange.
Is your bonus son's biological father in the picture?
He is in a really strange way. he lives out of the country.
Oh, wow. I can see how that...
And is an extremely wealthy man and likes to create turbulence whenever, however possible. So
he's out of the picture, but maybe he tries to control.
But he's all in the picture.
Oh, jeez.
So he has worked out in the agreement that he must have daily access, which means he is required to have a phone call, a video call every single day. And I'm like, dude, I remember just getting on the phone a couple of years ago. It's like, we're the same age. We have kind of the same family makeup, same, like kids in the same span. So I'm like, you're not a new dad. So you don't talk to your kids if you don't live in the household,
right.
Every day is kind of unrealistic. There's schedules and
so many things are going on.
Yeah. So many things going on and schedules and times and all the things. It's like literally you're requiring every day. And if it doesn't happen, if a call is missed, there's litigation.
Oh my goodness.
It's so ridiculous. So that creates a lot of stress in the house. 'Cause a lot of times he doesn't want to have the call. He just wants to do what he's doing, and he doesn't it's forced. It's a forced thing. And that's not, I'm totally against it because it's not creating a very healthy relationship between the two of them, which I would obviously support,
Of course.
So,
and then is there how different are when it comes to like the personalities between like you and the biological father? Are you guys very different in terms of your ideas about discipline or about permissiveness, etc.?
I don't know enough about him and how he works directly. I feel like he creates this persona of what he is as a dad, but is surrounded by support, so doesn't really like the one-on-one. I don't feel like is actually there.
Gotcha.
So that is a major difference between the two of us, and how we work. I'm very, very hands-on. I like to, be a part of as much as I can. I like to be, a figure in whatever's going on. So, and also like when they do have time, I think he gets 2 weeks every year. So he's here now visiting. And it's like holiday, for the kid. So that's different too. It's like, yes, I will, and we will do things that are fun and that, that take us out of our regular routine and things like celebrate and have holiday, that sort of thing. But it's not like, that's not the way it is all the time. Life is not about being showered with gifts and party time all the time. That's not realistic.
No.
So I like to create, a fun, supportive, realistic, experience with my family. So we're different in that respect as well.
And then with your biological son, you mentioned that he was visiting, and I know you and I had talked about this obviously before realizing that the record button wasn't going, but you talked about how there were some challenges because because of your separation, there's been a little bit of that siding, which I know it can be a real challenge with a separation in general. But has your biological child that it tends to side, from what I understand, with with his mother a little bit more, and maybe has adopted some beliefs about you or some opinions about you that's created some difficulty in your relationship. What's that been like having him on visitation and navigating some of that?
It's a really big challenge for me. And like you said, the siding and the manipulation and things, it's poured on pretty thick. So we've had to have some, very heavy and very serious conversations. And, I'm completely honest and open with him. And I always start with, my love is deep and true and for you. And with that, I am obligated to be honest with you. And with that also comes, it's not going to be easy to hear a lot of what I have to say. But in this circumstance, it's important for you to hear the truth and my truth. Because I know he gets, the other side and a lot of it isn't all true.
Right.
So that's been important for me to kind of like lay the foundation, and for him to see and hear from me that no matter how difficult it is, no matter how messy and dirty it feels, it's important to talk about it and to have the truth out, no matter what it is. And we can sort through all of that. And as long as we're sorting through truth, we can move forward in a healthy way, understanding that everything is out on the table. So, some of I'm not sure if he believed or if he just didn't want to receive it as truth. So, some things still come up, but recently, since he's been here for a little over 2 weeks, he brought up a conversation that we had, and of course I remember it. And ironically, it's a few days later in my Facebook memories, I posted about it. But we had a movie night, him and I and our toddler, and he's like, it's out of the blue. He's like, "Dad, do you remember when I told you I hated you?" And so just to rewind, it was in the way after the separation, but once me and my wife got together, he, it was a really rough time for him because.
So this is with your new wife.
My wife.
Yeah, and so now your current wife. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And so basically, now he's having to accept that this is really coming on, like full on. There's going to be a whole new person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because his mom, even with me, was like, like she wanted to be together and felt at some point we would get back together. Mm-hmm. So that's the story that she's like it had been so long for me that that's not a possibility, but that was the narrative that she had been, painting and controlling, him with. Mm-hmm. So, all of a sudden this new amazing relationship happens for me, and it's like true love, like all the things that I'd been waiting and hoping for. So I'm elated and, wanting to share this joy and connection with everyone. And he's got, such strong resistance to it. And to the point where it would be time for him to come over, for my time with him. Yeah. And I've 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off is what I really fought for and got with him, because I felt like having that long, consistent time was my way of having influence, because she had so much influence. Like I wanted to make sure that it's not just going to be a week or a few days at a time. I need like a chunk to make sure he, understand how the house works, understands how I am, and, all of that. Mm-hmm. So it got to the point where when it was my time, he would just lose his mind. He would, scream and cry. And by this time he's 8, 9, 10 years old, so it's like, nothing is changing. Like we're it's still dad. We're still, going to have a great time and all the things. Anyway, so one day he, I was picking him up for the beginning of our time, and he just didn't want to go. I came to his mom's house to pick him up, and he flat out refused to leave. And somehow in the exchange, he said that he hated me. Oh. So I was like, that, like in the moment, like I was not prepared for that. And I don't know if you can be prepared. I didn't have the tools in that moment to deal with it properly. So I can't remember what I said, but I shut the door, I got in my car, and I left. And I was like, on the drive back, all kinds of emotions, obviously. What the hell am I supposed to do now? Like, I'm not going to pick him up, but I need some space. So I ended up turning around and going back, and I picked him up and put him in the car, and we left. And that began the time with us. So, that was obviously highly emotional and all the things. And that was probably like the biggest, most explosive thing that he and I had.
Right.
So back to when he brought it up just a few days ago, he's like, "Do you remember when I told you I hated you?" And I was like, "Absolutely, I remember that." And he's like, "Why did you come back?" And I was like, "I'm your dad. it was the beginning of our time together. Like, I look forward to that. I look forward to spending time with you and you know, having our time together. Like, that's what it's about for me. It's like, why wouldn't I have come back? So he didn't really respond, and he very rarely has like an actual conversation, but he's hearing, you know, he heard that. So that continued, and it went on for probably an hour or so of him just asking me questions. So after that, he asked me, did you and Mom stay together just for me? And I was like, yeah, I did. It's for a long time. And I was like, just like I said before, I'm candid and honest with him. I was like, our relationship was not great from the very beginning. And I remember telling one of, you know, my best friend at the time, if things aren't better or haven't like, you know, stabilized or, you know, healthy by the time he's 2, then I've got to make a change. Well, I didn't do that. It was 2 years later. So he was four or so by the time we actually separated. But even then, even though like I moved out, we still did things together to kind of, you know, keep him comfortable, which was a horrible idea.
Tell me about that. Tell me why you say that. That's very interesting.
Why it was a horrible idea?
Yeah.
Because it gave
just muckied the water a little bit more.
It gave him the impression that, you know, because keep in mind, she's having separate conversations with him, and I don't know what those were.
Right.
So much so that when I got into the relationship with my wife now, he didn't understand. He thought I was going to be with his mom, and like that in his mind, that was still a unit. And you know, for me, it had been 5 or 6 years. You know. So way long enough for separation and all the things for it to not be a thing. Well, it was a major thing for, you know, several years for him. So, and I get it because he didn't have that clear cut line and that conversation around it so that he can understand and deal with it however he needed to. It got moved far into the future, you know, for him. So
interesting.
So yeah, it's been a journey.
Yeah,
sure.
it's like it's never simple, you know, these kinds of things, right? Like separating and stuff like that. But you shared with me something that you guys feel has helped each other and different parts of the family, different people in the family, at least have some sense of joy together, have some sense of understanding. And will you share with the listeners what some of those things are that you guys have implemented that have helped with managing personalities and also just creating a little bit of a bond?
Yes. Having structure and, you know, having a schedule and routine is really important. And it's not just for the kids, it's for, you know, everything, to structure your day around something that you can count on, you know, that it's going to happen. It's going to bring everyone together. So having a schedule, like, you know, clear wake up time and free play time, when tech time is, like they have a limited amount of tech time a day, 1 hour, dance party before dinner.
I love that so much.
Yeah. It was that little piece alone. There's actually, I posted one of our dance parties before dinner, and nice. It got so much feedback. People love it, and it's really been helpful for our family. Having family meetings, monthly family meetings, sit down time at dinner that we begin with gratitude. So everyone, you know, says what they're grateful for. My bonus son always makes an excuse not to do it, or he'll ignore it. It's hilarious, but not hilarious. He's got his ways, but yeah, those things are really important. It makes, you know, it really bonds no matter what we're going through individually or even as a family. Like, it's really helpful to feel, you know, that together we're all doing the same thing together is really important.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'm definitely borrowing the dance parties before dinner. That is going to be something we are definitely implementing. I don't care how weird it makes my teenage son feel.
No, it's great to have everyone like going full out, like
Yes.
breakdance if you must.
Yes.
Thank my wife Tamara for that one.
I love that. Yeah, Tamara sounds really amazing. Can you tell us some of the qualities that she's brought to your family that have really made such a big impact?
Yeah, I mean, I could go on and on and on. I've been a dad since I was 22, and I've experienced, obviously other parents and other parenting styles all along those 20, 24, 23 years. And I've never met anyone that is so patient and like understanding of like what the kid needs, like, and everything that she creates, it's like so kid focused, that like there is no ego there. There is no control there. There is no like, what I've understood prior to and what my experience with my parents was. It's like your parents are like up here and you do what they say and there's no question or, all of that sort of thing. She is very patient, understanding, and she creates things around that allow the kids to have their true personality and that allow their expansive, palette of needs and voice and all of the things to be fully expressed without being stifled by what we need to control as parents. Don't make that mess. We're not going to do art right now because I don't want to deal with the mess. That's not in the conversation. Like playtime is playtime. They have the designated spot and they can make a mess. Like we'll create the space so that they can be free and do what they need to do because that's the time that they need to do that to be fully expressed. So
wow.
Yeah. So
where do you think she got that from?
She's dude. We could do another episode about her and how amazing she is. Just the way she was raised and how she grew up. Her parents were activists and traveled the world, and she's lived all over the world, been all over the world. She's extremely cultured, really deep into community, and I just feel like from an early age had an understanding of like the grand picture of things, So when it comes down to like what's truly important, I think it's been easier for her maybe to identify like, what's important truly, in growing up and being a kid.
Man, what a blessing.
Man. I am truly blessed.
You are. So what's been like your favorite thing about being a dad?
That's a great question. And it's changed with each child. Like with my oldest son, the greatest thing about being his dad has been to see, like, to be an influence for someone and for him to take things that I've been interested in and that like were my passions and my, things that I filled all my time and space with growing up. He just swooped in and like took him straight to out of this universe. Like drums. I was a drummer since, I could remember. When he was a toddler or even younger, as soon as he could hold on to things, he'd be in my lap with drumsticks and we'd be practicing rudiments. As soon as he could actually like start, focusing on that, it's like I have to watching him play. It's like, dude, can you slow down so I can understand what you're doing? Yeah. Like, what are you doing? Like he's just he really takes things and goes to the next level. So that's been really cool.
That is cool.
We've always had a solid, relationship, and he was really easy in terms of like, parenting. Like I felt like I just had a sidekick,
a little protege.
yeah, the whole time. So, and now he's extremely intelligent and just doing really well. Like so, and then my 12-year-old, the best part of being his dad, he really forced me to realize that it's not about me. You know, like it's
Such
not
a tough lesson.
all right. Like it's not about me at all. Like this is about him. And like, what is he, you know, like I was young when my first son was born, and I did, you know, I've obviously never been a dad before, didn't know anything about what to do, did my very best. And I, you know, like he turned out great so far at 20, almost 24. But my 12-year-old literally couldn't be any different than me. You know, like all of my dad talks in one ear, out the other ear, you know, all of my wisdom and things that I think I'm helping, like he just bats it away. It doesn't mean anything to him. So it really forced me to dig really deep to understand who he is and like where he comes from and what he's being with and what his emotions are, and like how can I influence this person that has, you know, he's my son, but that is very, very different from me, and all the way he all of the ways that he works. So that's the best part for me, is to like the discovery,
the challenge,
the challenge and the discovery of like, how do I truly connect and be the best dad I can be with someone that I, you know, as hard as it is to say, I don't truly understand.
Right.
You know, so and it's improving. Like we're figuring it out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And what about the others? That's part of being the dad.
My bonus son, I shared something. He had a project for school, and I shared with him like what he means to me, or what stands out to me about him. He is just so talented and intelligent, and when he gets to really sit in that, like he's got the biggest heart you would ever see. Like he's only 9, but he's like, he has conversations like he's 45. You would never know. Like if you were to just script it out and didn't hear the voice, you'd think you were talking to another adult.
Right.
So just realizing that just because someone is a kid, and you know, from what we think, doesn't mean that they don't have grand ideas and grand visions and goals. And he in a lot of ways is sometimes more grown up than I am, you know, and that I get to allow that possibility, because that's the way it is. So he's a really humbling individual to be around, and only that he's 9, but you know, is so uber creative and can do, you know, all of these things. It's really incredible. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. And then my younger two, my 2.5-year-old is he's all, we call him the beast baby, because he has, like, even in Tamara's belly, he was just aggressive and strong and just high energy, just all of that. And I've been around babies, but I've never been around a baby like him ever. Yeah. Like even after, like when he was born, his cry was just like piercingly loud and strong and intense. And that's just his personality. He does, like, everything is multiplied by 100, everything on, you know, the ups and the downs and the sides and all of it. So the best thing about being a dad to him is getting to allow that space for him to be as big as he needs to be. And it's like, I have photos in my phone. I think with how much he pushed and kicked in the belly, like he came out with delts,
strong,
and like his back, he's ripped. He's like,
ripped.
Dude, he's ripped. It's crazy. So, and you know, that's just a part of his personality. So it's like, if we, you know, guide and direct and nurture all of that in the right way, in the most effective way, there's going to be no stopping this kid as an adult. Right. Physically, emotionally, mentally, he's going to be unstoppable. I
remember my little guy, he's 6 now, but when he was like maybe like 3, he would get angry and he would yell, "Fire!"
Nice.
We were all like, Jeez, and I would be clicking on shows. I'm like, where did he get that from? It was just so intense. And he's an Aries, and I don't necessarily know how much I know about the astrology stuff or whatever, but apparently it's a fire sign or whatever. And I'm like, what the kid yells fire with this roar, and it's literally like you grab the table. You're like, oh my gosh, fire, jeez. But
love it.
So I know some of that intense energy. He's definitely got some of that. And then you've got a little 6-week-old, so that's awesome.
Yes, our little girl. Finally, the house full of boys has another female.
Yeah,
and she is so soft and serene and feminine, and beautiful. It's just like this calmness gets to blanket over the house, and all of this wild, crazy boy energy. It's like. It's really beautiful, and she's only 6 weeks, but I feel like she's been around for 10 years.
Right.
It's really a magical new introduction of energy that I haven't experienced before.
That's so awesome.
I can't wait to see how that blossoms through her growth. Not that I want to speed it up at all.
Right.
But, yeah.
That's so beautiful. Let me ask you this question. What do you believe is paramount to raising, healthy and self-reliant children?
Really, I think it's really simple. I think, kids need to feel safe. They need to feel heard, seen, and understood. And I think the more you focus on that and allowing them to be the people that they are, the more confident they're going to be in who they are as a person. Because that's what it's all about, in personal life and business and whatever we experience, the more tapped in we are to who we are as people, as individual people, and honoring what makes us different as individuals, the better and more productive and the more serving we can be to the people we're around. So I think the more we can kind of embrace that in our kids and allow that as our kids and not force our everything on them as people, the better they'll be.
Right.
And the more we can open up the pathway to communicate honestly between one another, and holding space when we need, and leading by example. I think that's a big one that people don't realize so much as parents. It's like you have all of these expectations of your kids to do things this way or that way, but what are you doing with your time?
Right.
Don't be on the screen, or no, we're not going to watch TV right now, but how often are you on your phone when they're looking up at you, or how often are you actually reading a book when you're wanting them to do all these other things? So leading by example is a really big piece as well.
Yeah, I love that, and you're reminding me of this. I heard this from Wayne Dyer, but I think it came from someone else. But he said, our children belong with us, but not to us.
Yeah.
It's like they're not our possessions. They are individuals with their own unique makeup, and they belong with you. They belong in your home, but they don't belong to you. They're not yours to shape. It's actually parent. The actual root of parent is to draw out. It's really to pull out of them whatever's most them. I love how you acknowledge the strengths and the characteristics in each one of them, and how those talents, strengths, and characteristics need to be nurtured and understood. And even, for example, that your favorite thing about being a dad, for example, to your 12-year-old is just how vastly different it is, and how much awareness you've gotten from the experience of having to accept that this child is so unique and so different. You have to fully embrace that, And something that was occurring to me while you're talking about him, and I've had to learn this the hard way, because I have a son, my oldest son. The lectures go in one ear and out the other. The little guy listens. Like, he wants to hear what I have to say. But the older one is like, please don't tell me what to do or what to think or what to feel or whatever. Questions have been so much more impactful for him than any lecture that I could give him. Just asking him great questions, ask him how he feels about things. I remember he was telling me that on this trip recently that we went on, that a kid had sucker punched a security guard. And it was a very big deal, and all the kids were talking about it, and somebody got it on video, and the guy was trying to kick them off the property and telling the kids they couldn't hang out there late at night, and then one of the kids took the chance to sucker punch him.
Wow.
And the way that I initially took him sharing the story was glamorizing it. That was cool, that was brave, that was neat, that he did that, etc. And I was thinking and really presuming that was what my son was sharing based on the way he was sharing the story. And then instead of, going with like, hey, son, that's really not cool because that guy's trying to get paid. And, if he didn't do his job, he could get fired. And like, that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
I said, well, what do you think about that? And he goes, I think that person's crazy. He's an idiot. And I was like, oh, really? And I said, why is that? And he's like, because, those security guards are pretty cool. Like, I remember we interacted with some of them, and they were pretty much like, hey, guys, just, keep it chill, or please go over this area because we've got to keep kids out of this area, whatever. And he was like, they're all pretty chill. So, like, I feel like that kid could have just been more respectful and just walked off, but instead he was, like, acting like a jerk. I was like, in my heart, I was like, proud dad moment. Yes, he's got moral fortitude. Like, there's something in there, And so I was really grateful that I'd asked instead of lecturing. And I think it was great for him to be heard and seen. Now, was he giving me lip service? I don't know, maybe, but that's not even the point. For me, it was more about giving him space to express himself and letting him kind of share. And I was kind of ready to hear him say something like, oh, I thought it was kind of cool or whatever. I was kind of preparing myself for that and like thinking, what will my next question be? Like, well, what do you think it was like for the security guard? Like that kind of thing. But questions have been huge. They've been huge for him and mine and his relationship, and letting him kind of evolve and express his own personal perspective and power, et cetera, has been really, really good. And there have been times where I've noticed, for example, certain teachers that do better with him. And one of those key characteristics is like they really try to understand his perspective and really try to understand him. And those who really don't want to understand, they just want him to stop whatever or do whatever, et cetera. Like, they don't do very well with him at all. It becomes a power struggle.
Yep.
And he doesn't feel understood. And he's going to fight because what he wants more than anything is just be understood that he's not a bad kid or that he's not a bad person. That he does have challenges. He does get upset. He does have emotions, but he's not bad. And that's been huge. It's been a huge thing for his development, for mine. My awareness is like how to serve him best as a father. Like, questions have been the key. Every time I think I want to say something to him, how can I form this into a question?
Lead with curiosity.
That seek first to understand, then be understood, Cool, man. So let me ask you this question. How have you balanced, you have a lot of kids now, you have a big household. How are you balancing like self-care, your career, and then just being a father and giving them that kind of time and attention they need?
It's really difficult. The most difficult thing is to find a pattern of consistency that works for me, and especially in this chapter of managing nap times and bedtimes.
It's like that.
Do we need to be worried?
That better not be the record button.
So so much of my time right now is kind of tied up in those time periods. And Tamara's been like, she's like, I've got it. Just if you can manage nap time and bedtime, like I've got the rest. Take care of, work and yourself and all the things. Like she's the driver for me and like self-care. Cause otherwise I'm like, I don't have time. Like, when am I going to take a shower? I'll do that tomorrow, whatever. But like to be consistent, to try to get up before Justice wakes up, our toddler, so that I can have some me time, shower,
Yes.
stretch, workout kind of thing. And then when he gets up, try to head him off before he bursts into mommy's room and wakes baby up and all the things. So I would try to get breakfast and stuff ready, and then I get coffee and everything for tomorrow, and then she's up, so then I can go to work. So then I'm working until nap time. So it's just like taking a step back and realizing the rhythm of how the day happens, and just navigating the best I can within that.
It's always a moving target, I swear.
For sure.
So, there's something that I've been thinking about sharing with you, as you've shared about, you have basically a little 2.5-year-old that has now been dethroned as the baby. They're not the baby anymore. But you mentioned his strength, and you mentioned how powerful he is. So one of the things that I was like inspired to share with you about, if you're open to it, related to the 2.5-year-old, and now you have this 6-week-old. So you have basically the baby has been dethroned, and so they're no longer the baby. But you mentioned that he has this strength, and one of the beautiful things that you're already doing is acknowledging your children's talents and their skills and helping them develop those, etc. But there's this mistaken goal that a child has a lot of times when there's a new baby, and it's called undue attention. And usually the parents are annoyed, irritated, and a little bit like, dude, come on, give me a break kind of thing, right? And what that generally is the child is seeking attention because they're not really sure how to get their attention bucket filled. And so they seek it out, especially in times where you're both busy, or you're both distracted, or you're both needing, like, you don't have anything on bandwidth. And that's when they feel that there is no bandwidth. That's when they go for it the most. It's like getting you at your jugular, and like when you're already down, right? So one of the ways to combat that in a healthy way, and basically what you're doing is you're neutralizing that energy, is to actually get the child to contribute. When they contribute, they're getting two things at the same time. One, they get a hit of belonging, because now they have this special role. And actually, if you can let them know, hey, can you be the whatever, would you be like the bag carrier? Could you help us with the milk? Could you help us with, just giving them some special thing and giving it a little role. A little marketing goes a long way here. But giving them this special role that they have and asking them to contribute, and then acknowledging their effort. So you really want to avoid acknowledging the outcome. Like if they accidentally spill something, that doesn't matter. What matters is that they're trying to help. Because as they get rewarded for contributing in positive and emotional experiences, they actually want to do that more, and they find that as the healthy outlet as opposed to attention seeking. And so where this behavior gets navigated to is, hey, if I want mommy and daddy's attention, I'll just help them. Way better, lightens the load on everybody. I have this special role because I'm stronger than my sibling. Look at my little baby. That's just a baby, but I'm a bigger boy. I'm strong. I'm capable. and you get all these positive emotions, and it can even be as simple as say that the child's attention seeking wanting mommy, but mommy's busy with baby. Hey, sweetie, do you know what would be really cool? Would you rub mommy's back? Would you give mommy a foot massage? Will you play with mommy's feet while she feeds? Something small, but it's where it's nonverbal, where they're actually connected, feeling energy from mommy, but they're helping. They're contributing.
I love that.
And it's a really great way to spin that attention-seeking behavior. It's one of the best ways to do it, even for children, for example, that are the class clowns. If teachers are out there, one of the best things you can do for a class clown is ask them to contribute. See if they'll help the group. Yeah. Because what they really want is to be seen they want to be seen, and they want to be feeling like they have some way to do something in the classroom. And if you get them contributing, they'll think you're the coolest teacher ever, because most people are trying to throw them out. Yep. And number two, you'll get them on your side, where you need cooperation from these people who want to be leaders, who want to contribute, and really they show up as a class clown. I raised my hand because I was that guy too.
My 9-year-old, that almost the exact scenario. I think he was mocking her or something, like when she was giving her lesson, and she invited him up to the front of the class and gave him I can't remember exactly what it was that she instructed him to do, but gave him a spot up at the front of the class to basically do what he was doing. And it was, just such a shift, like in the whole
it'll break that whole
thing.
pattern.
Yeah. So that sort of stuff. I love the progressive thinking of that. It's like, instead of pointing and saying no or beating it down, it's like, join in and show us what you got. So so and so that can be really, really, really helpful. And I've seen that work in so many different occasions, when adults are trying to have a conversation, little kids are seeking extra attention. One of the best things you can do is see how they can contribute to everyone, preferably nonverbal, so that they don't have to take your attention up from talking to others or doing things like that. That's why the feet rubs, the back massage, can you get me on water? Can you come sit in my lap? Can you play with my hair? Can you do something with me right now while I continue what I'm doing? That would help me. Mm-hmm. And if you can do that, that would be awesome. And then both of you get this positive experience that could have otherwise been, right? Hey, get him out of here. Right.
And that's the opposite of what they need. So just something I was thinking about for you there. And then I was curious, what do you wish that you knew? Like, if you get to talk to young Dauss about being a dad, what would you have said to yourself in terms of like helpful information?
I would have told them to wait a little bit. don't rush into being a dad. Learn a little bit more about life and yourself first. Just be patient and embrace the individuals as individuals. I was the youngest of 4 kids, and my really big age gap. So everyone was like a parent to me. So I felt like I was like over-parented.
Right.
And I didn't really feel like I got a chance to like even know what my voice was, So that's like carrying that through. That's just something that I would have, reminded myself of, like, just embrace the individual character that these kids are and let them be themselves. And like the objective in being a good parent, I think, is to make sure that you're raising, an adult that is, high functioning and intelligent and organized and all the things that you want to be as an adult. So keeping those things in mind from the start is really important. I always talk to all of my kids as, I never infantilized or, did baby talk or anything like that. And I feel like that's been important to maintain too. So they're cute and babies and all the things, but don't treat them like cute babies, throughout, because that creates all kinds of other issues as well. So
so you're kind of giving them not just the benefit of the doubt, but almost like saying, hey, I think you're capable of more than people would lead you to believe.
Yeah, they are.
Right.
They are. They definitely are.
Yeah.
So
I think that's huge with little ones. I had, for example, when I lived at my last house, I used to mow our own lawn and we used to weed eat. And I always talk about this, but my little 5-year-old at the time, he would weed eat. And I remember neighbors driving by and they're like, the 5-year-old's got safety goggles on. He's sitting there
Nice.
weed eating. And I used to tell him, you're more capable than people think you are. And I want you to show that,
Love that.
There's a recent picture of us fishing, and I don't know that people noticed, but on the back of the boat, my son is using a knife and he's actually filleting little bits of fish and throwing it out to chum up.
Oh, wow.
To chum things up. And, he's 6 years old now. It was a short little pocket knife, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure his mother would not have liked that.
But it's
he
great
would have
that
had to believe, but I believed he was capable of it. I said, are you going to be really careful? He said, yeah. And he said, tell me what the rules are. He's like, cut away from you, never cut towards you. Don't put your finger in front of the blade.
Great,
dude.
That's
you
awesome.
got it, man. Give it a shot. I'm like, if you get cut, we've got a first aid kit, and you're not going to be very happy. Let me just tell you that. Kira, and here's another question for you. How has fatherhood impacted your career?
Man, it's made it it's made it difficult to focus on it at times.
Amen. Oh man, working from home, I could say amen on that.
Yeah. But at the same time, with that, because that's a very real piece of it, it's made me like understand and focus on prioritizing and having a schedule and a routine, and like we discussed already, working in self-care, because like those things are so important in having an effective day. So I think without being a parent, I'm not sure what kind of business, but I'm not sure how. I don't think I would be as productive. I don't think.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I really feel like.
Because it made you focus.
Yeah, like, because I had to.
Right.
Honestly, I've talked to my oldest son about this because he is now older than I was when I had him.
Right.
And my toddler is kind of like a snapshot of what it might be for him to have a child at my age. So there's all kinds of like cyclical conversations that we can have, within that. And it's like, I had just moved back from California with my band, and like, very little direction. And having him was like, and my dad had just like cut me off at that stage too. And something else that I learned as a parent, like, I'm not going to take care of you in a way that is enabling you to not know what being an adult is. Like,
right.
As much responsibility, and like with the knife filleting fish thing, like you want that experience for your kid. Like as long as they can be responsible and not be in danger, like you want them to develop that independence and that skill. So I didn't have that. Like I had a gas card until I was 21 years old. Like I wasn't in a position to be a dad when I first became a dad, but I immediately had to figure it out. So it forced me to figure things out and to get organized and prioritize my life. And I don't know what I would have done without being a dad. Who knows? Who knows?
Such a crucible. It really like pour yourself and your soul into it, and then it shapes you into something that you realize only after, like, oh, I needed this. I had my son at 19, so that was huge. And Sheldon is 16 years old, and he sets his own appointments. If he needs to adjust an appointment, I have him call, and they're always amazed. One of the things that the people in the lobby have complimented, they're like, I am so impressed that your teenager will call here and let us know if he's running late, do all these things. And I'm like, the way I see it, he's 16 this year, but he turned 17 in October. That means next year he'll be 18.
That's right now.
He does all of his laundry. The cleaners don't clean his room. He's responsible for, so many different things. And what I know, and I like just the other day that the drain was clogged in his bathroom, and there was like, we need to fix the drain. So I told him, I said, I want you to come in here and learn a little life lesson. The drain is clogged, and you can either pay a plumber or you can take it apart this way. And I'll show you how to take it apart. Now, this little twisty little thing that the drain plug goes in, it will keep twisting unless you hold the base with a pair of pliers. Then you can undo the top. We remove it. And then I take a pair of needle nose and I start grabbing hair out of there. I knew it was just going to be covered in hair. So we pull out this. You ever seen the movie The Ring? And like that woman's like crawling and she's got her hair all hanging in front of her and she's looking all twisted and weird. It looked like something out of that movie. Like it was just like this big ball black gross hair. So we throw that in the trash can. I run the water for a second. It's fully draining. I'm like, there we go. All we got to do now, put it back together, and it's fixed. And he's like, okay, thanks for the life lesson, Dad. And then he goes back on his way. Well, I happen to know that there will be a time when he gets older and he goes, yeah, you know, Dad, remember when you stopped and showed me how to do that drain thing? I totally needed to do that today. And so anyway, so I do recognize that I am training a young adult, that I am teaching him how to be, autonomous. Like, he's going to need to be able to manage a bank account. For example, he also has a bank account now, and he has a savings account, and I can see both of them. And he struggles to keep his savings, and I keep telling him all the time, like, that's a necessary skill. You're going to have to learn how to keep money in your savings and don't touch it, because emergencies come up, etc. And it's such an important habit. I wish I had learned it a long time ago.
Same.
It's like, I don't think I learned how to do it until I was at least 30. So you gotta work on that. Like, it's like so essential. And anyways, I do think that's kind of what we're doing. We're raising young adults. You got to start from a very early age, try to teach them how to help contribute. You know, even the little guy vacuums. Like, we tell him all the time, he's like, I hate vacuuming. I'm like, look, it's one of the things that you can do to help our family. There's a handful of things that you can do and a handful of things you can't. This is one of them. And so you're going to do the vacuuming.
Yeah, we frame it like helping the household. Like,
Exactly. Family
we're all here
contributions.
together. Yeah. And that's important for them to have a role to contribute. You know, even if they sometimes don't want to do it, sometimes they're like, you know, excited and super proud of it. So you get that balance. And it's
Totally. Like, they love running the power washer. Either one of them. Like, if they can do the power washer, they're all about it. I'm like, yeah, the vacuum's like the power washer in reverse. So just
awesome.
So, I'm curious to know what is has being an artist and having your creative background. Do you believe that's contributed to you being a better father, and in what way? Definitely.
You never know what you're gonna be dealing with as a dad. Whether it's they've done something, or there's a reaction or a response that's needed. Being creative on the fly for things is definitely an advantage. But I think the biggest advantage to being an artist or a creative person is to just see something that might normally seem like a square hole, and you put the square thing in the square hole. But there are so many different ways to navigate a living, breathing household situation. And like I was saying, creating the schedules, having the daily schedule that's all, colorful and artistic and stuff, is really helpful for the kids to visualize and to be excited for. But just having that blueprint and being creative in how you, peak excitement for things that are necessary in the household is important too. So, being creative and coming at things in whatever angle they need to be, to make it exciting for everyone. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, man. Well, I'm really impressed. I'm impressed with just how you have positioned yourself as a father, as this person who's really trying to, intentionally care about your children's emotions, their needs, their personalities, and really embrace that instead of driving some mission that you have full home, just kind of forcing it on them. Really impressed with that. And it sounds like you have a really blessed family to have you and Tamara working together to navigate your challenges and give them really the best opportunity they could have. And I would definitely wish you and your family all the best. I hope you guys have a beautiful experience, this visitation experience, as you guys are kind of co-creating something together. Yeah. I learned a lot. I really appreciated definitely having dance party before dinner. That awesome. Is absolutely happening. And yeah, man, I'd love to have your family over for dinner. That'd be super
awesome,
cool.
Man. Yeah,
enjoy dinner with you guys.
That'd
and we will have a dance party before dinner for sure.
Awesome.
So
look forward to it.
Thank you so much, Dauss.
Yeah, thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it.
And then, Dauss, let me ask you this question real quick before we do let you go. Where can people find you and get a hold of you? Do you want to do some photography work or something else?
DaussMiller.com. It's probably the hub for everywhere else to reach me, there, or Instagram, and everywhere on social media, I'm at Dauss Miller.
Great.
Super simple.
Very cool. Thank you, Dauss.
Thank you.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you've received some value from it, please share it with other dads and consider leaving us a review on your favorite podcast platform, and we'll see you in the next episode. Looking for support with your fatherhood journey? Go to BeDadly.com and take our Dadly Disposition quiz and learn helpful insights on how you can overcome power struggles with your kids.
Hey dads, this is John Prophet with BeDadly.com. Just wanted to let you know we have a new sponsor coming on board. That sponsor is Genesee Nutrition. One of our earlier podcast guests, Will Carr, is the founder of that company, and basically they're nutrition bars. They're very, very good tasting nutrition bars, great for taking on the trail or, an impromptu little day trip. You can just throw them in your backpack and be ready to rock. And so as a sponsor, we are offering our listeners a 15% discount. So if you go to GeneseeNutrition.com and make your order, be sure to put in code BeDadly15 and you'll get 15% off of your order. So yeah, if you're a nutrition bar aficionado, go ahead and check them out at GeneseeNutrition.com and make sure to use your coupon code BeDadly15. Thanks for listening.